Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the lecture number 15 for the course of Computer Networks and Internet Working. My name is Engineer Jafar Ali and I am instructor for this course. So, this is the first part for the lecture number 15, and the topic of today's lecture will be regarding the proxy servers. The coming lecture will also be regarding the same topic, because this topic is a vast topic and it needs to be discussed more than it needs to be explained. So discussion is the base of this topic, and for that reason I will be the slides will be less as compared to the previous lectures, but the overall concept will be worth watching. So keep watching the video. In the last lecture, we discussed about a protocol that is named as SNMP, and then we had also studied about the DHCP. And this is the continuation of that topic, because you will see that how this topic involves all of these routing protocols and different protocols that we have already discussed in this lecture. So stay focused. So let's start our discussion about the proxy server. A proxy server is a server that acts as an intermediary between a workstation user and internet, so that the enterprise can ensure security, administrative control, and caching service. This is just definition by default, and it is mentioned to you so that you can understand it by its own. But the concept behind this is very much easy. So you see that in the diagram in the next slide, you can see that. I will show you the diagram. So this is the diagram, and you can see that your service is provided by your ISP, and your ISP, let's say you want to connect to a web server that is basically far beyond your premises, and distance is very much large as compared to your home network. So to reach to that network, you have to basically go through your ISP, and then you have to do several stops as you reach towards your server. And the problem arises in that there is a lack of security, and how to tackle that. So this proxy server will be make sure that your data is received to the server as in secure form, in a controlled form, and it is not being theft, and it is not being stolen. So this is the main core idea behind this proxies servers, but there are many more phenomena that are attached to it, and we will also discuss that as well. By using a proxy server, you can hide and conceal and make sure that your network ID is anonymous, and you can do it by hiding your IP. So most of you people know about the concept of the VPNs or the proxy servers, and these are the servers that basically have a much impact when there is let's say there was a ban on PUBG, or you can say YouTube. So most of the people basically connect to that servers of that specific service, for example, let's say YouTube. So these are people basically connect to that server by using anonymous IP, and you basically encapsulate your actual IP within your fake ID. Let's say you have connected to a server that is showing your IP as a IP from let's say UK or Canada or Australia. So you have to encapsulate your main IP address, your actual IP address, within a fake IP address. So that is also provided to you by this proxy server, and the reason for this is basically the encapsulation process basically occurs because of several reasons, and the major one is basically security. So stick that point in your mind, that it is not always the wrong case. Most of the times you will also want to have your security, and you also want to have your privacy. So it is not just because you are doing something wrong on the internet. It is also possible that someone far beyond your region, far beyond, let's say in Africa, they basically trying to hack your actual IP. So if you are trying to reach to a server that is far beyond your region, so there must be a need of anything that basically makes sure that the data has been secured from transmitted, and your data has been not been stolen and copied, and this proxy server is somewhere in between your side and the receiving end side. You are the transmission end side. So this is the server which is in somewhere between the transmitter and the receiver, and it is also possible to have more than one servers within the between these distances. So this is a case. We will discuss several cases in the coming slides. We will discuss several cases that how you can implement encapsulated data within an encapsulated data, and within encapsulated you can apply multiple layers of encapsulation. But as you increase the in the process of encapsulation and the levels of encapsulation, you are basically increasing the size of the overhead. You are increasing the delay, and there are many more factors that are basically gets affected with the indulgence of this layers and these layers of encapsulation. So let's talk further that what are the main purposes for which the proxy servers are used. So mostly the proxy servers are used for monitoring, filtering. I will discuss each and every one of this with you. Improving performance. You can also use this for the translation. You can also use it for accessing any service anonymously. It means that you do not want to show your actual ID because of any security reason, because of your own privacy reasons. So you can do that with their proxy servers as well. Now, and the last one is very important because of the security. You will have to make sure that the proxy servers are also encapsulated. There are many servers and many services that are basically providing you the proxy server services. But even then you cannot rely them blindly. So you have to make sure that your proxy server is also a good server. You cannot take cannot take any chance regarding your data, because you know that this is the new world order in which we are living in, and the most important thing for anyone is basically its data, his or her data. So you have to make sure that your data is not being compromised. And let's talk about each one of this individually. So monitoring and filtering. What does I mean by monitoring and filtering? So monitoring I mean that you have to if you want to do not want to be get monitored. Let's see, if you are not using proxy servers, so in the middle of your transmission, let's say there is a router who is basically there and he knows about your IP address, he know about your actual IP address. So if this person know your actual IP address, so and he's also sitting in the middle of somewhere from the transmitter towards the receiver, from your side towards your receiving end side. Let's say you are accessing YouTube, and that person basically is somewhere in the middle, and he knows that what is your actual IP. So he will be able to monitor your data, that what kind of data you are requesting, what kind of data you are receiving, what kind of services you are accessing. So he will be there and he will be monitoring you for all of that period on which you are basically up. And you do not actually want anyone do not want to be get monitored. So you can use this proxy server, and you can encapsulate your main IP, your actual IP, within a fake IP. So the user, if he has your actual email IP address, so he will not be able to judge that, okay, I'm getting much of the data, but which IP is basically the fake IP, because most of the IPs will not be similar to each other, and he will not be to hack this system to basically crack the fake IP within the actual IP. It is not an easy task, and if you are using a good proxy server, it is not that much of ease. So that's why I'm talking that there are many kinds of proxy servers that are basically providing you proxy servers, but not all of them. All of them are good. You have to make sure that your chosen one is the right one for you. The next one is basically filtering. Let's say you are want to basically transmit any data. You are in your university campus, and due to any reason or any logical or illogical reason, university have, let's say, banned let's say YouTube, and you want to listen this lecture on the YouTube in the campus, in any campus of the any university, or you can name it by any university. and you cannot access the YouTube because the YouTube has turned on the filtering for a specific IP request for this YouTube server. So any packet having a request for the IP that belongs to the YouTube will be filtered out, and it will not be sent to the server. So your service will be blocked. Your request will be filtered out, and you will not be entertained by the server that is inside your campus. So if you say that my work is really important and I want to do my own work, so for that you have to actually use a proxy server, and by using this proxy server, this server will actually hide your packet inside your data inside a packet, and name it with some other IP address which will be termed let's say outside the campus. So the university campus, the router or the server at the university campus will see, okay, so this is the packet that is requesting for the YouTube, but this is not our packet, so let's allow this. So the router or the server will allow your packet to be transmitted. So that's how you can use this proxy servers for your own good. Now the next one is by improving performance. I mean that there are several issues regarding this proxy servers. We will discuss that later on one by one. But for now, you can also improve your performance by, you can see that if you are trying to access data and you are trying to access YouTube and you are doing it efficiently. So it means that your performance has been enhanced, and your performance has been better than the previous one. So this is also a kind of performance improvement, but there are several consequences of that as well. We will discuss that also in the coming slides. You will see that what are the cons for not using this proxy servers. And the next thing is translation. The same thing is basically happening again and again in different perspectives. You basically want your data to be transmitted, and you do not want your data to be monitored and filtered out, or you do not want to compromise your data. And in the same while, you want your data to be addressed like it is. So let's say you are trying to access a server that basically the server is in Russia, and you do not know any information, you do not have any idea about the Russian language. So how will this server will basically translate most of the proxy servers are basically based in Europe and America. Most of them are basically in Europe and specifically in UK. Or you can basically monitor that as well, you can trace that as well. Most of the famous proxy servers are based at UK, Great Britain. Let's say you are trying to reach a server, and that server is based in let's say Russia. So you do not have any idea about the Russian language. So how you will know that, how the server will know about your request and how these things will get translated? So that is where the proxy server comes in, and he will say that, okay, I will translate your data from one language to another language. I'm just telling you about the basic idea. This translation is basically the computer language transfer, includes also the translation in the computer languages as well. Let's say your system is basically Android and you are trying to access a server from iOS, or you can say any other OS operating system. So how this translation will be shifted across that network very much with ease, convenience. So this was the idea about the translation. And let's see, in the next topic is basically accessing services anonymously. So by this I mean that if you are trying to access a server, let's say you are trying to access YouTube, but you do not want that YouTube will know your actual IP address. Most of the services are good, but they are not someone that you can depend upon or you can rely upon in terms of security. So if let's say there is an app launched in Shower, somebody launched an app, and if you want to check that app, that how is this app, I have also done this many times, that if you want to create some app, some people come and register it, and by registering it they are actually providing us their actual information, which is not a good idea to basically trust a new app with an untrusted installer or untrusted developer. So most of the cases are there also reported So I recommend anyone that I recommend all of my friends and family that if you are trying to use a service and that service is not basically within a controlled premises or within a framework of actual laws, criminal laws or cybercrime laws, you do not have to provide you actual information. Most of the apps provide ask you about the camera access, about the gallery access, about the contacts access. So you basically blindly click on all of the allows button and you basically allow all the apps or at that app all your information. So they will basically having access to your information. Similarly, if you are trying to access a server and that server is asking about, let's say, your CNIC number or even your mobile number, so you do not have to put your actual CNIC or your actual phone number over there. So you can use fake phone numbers or fake email ID address so that you can use the service, and unless and until you are basically satisfied, you cannot enter your data, your actual data in that service. So you have to monitor that as well. And the last one is security. It is all about security. You cannot rely your data, you cannot rely your information to be monitored or filtered or to be hacked or to be cracked or to be copied. So you cannot rely on any of the service that is provided to you by free of charge or by even the cost. So this was all about the main purpose for the proxy servers. Let's talk about the types that are belong to the. There are several types, different classes, different categories. We will discuss that one by one. So let's talk about the proxies initially. So the first one is basically a forward proxy server, and in this kind of server, basically the client requests its internal network server to forward to the internet. So let's say this is your user. Let me draw it for you. So this is, let's say, your user, and if you want to be a part of internet, you basically ask your ISP or your network service provider or your internal server, your university campus server, your home server, that please connect me to that IP. So this proxy server will basically connect you to that IP, and it will hide your all the information. It will hide your all the important data, your email address, your IP address, not email address, just IP address. I will also tell you an example. Remind me of this encapsulation process, and if you remind me of the encapsulation process, it means that you are watching the video right now and you will get the +1 bonus marks. So remind me that in the class as well, and along with make sure that you remind me a code word, and that code word is password. So I will tell you a story regarding actual scenario of this forward proxy service. So remind me a password and this +1, I will give you a +1, and I will tell you a story that needs to be discussed in the class, inshallah. The next one is basically open proxies. Open proxies helps the clients to be concealed the IP address while browsing the web. So if you want your data to be to reach the internet, and you want to be basically encapsulate your data, conceal your data, conceal your IP address, so you can do that. And these open proxies are available by the name of VPNs, by the name of private networks, by the name of ZenMeet and UltraSurf and TouchVPN, and there are many more. You can also see it online, but not all of them are trustworthy. You have to build basically trust building is also necessary. So you cannot rely and you cannot trust all of these proxy servers, because they actually are the ones that can be of harm for you. So to not get harmed and to not get any negative review, so you have to make sure that these open proxies that are available free of cost are trustworthy also. And you can make sure that, how you can make sure that, so you can also make sure that by basically visiting their sites, learning about their terms and conditions, seeing the review of their previous customers, and the most specific, their location, their actual location, not the location they are showing to you, their actual location, that what is the main actual location on that server, that at which it is placed. Mostly what the criminals mostly do, they basically provide you a free proxy server. They tell you, okay, you want to go to America, you can come with us. We will transport your data towards Europe or UK or America. But they are actually the ones who will be copying your data, who will be taking care of taking your data out of the network. Even though they are sending your information towards America or any receiving inside, but they are also making a copy for that. So open proxies are the most important threat for your data. So you have to make sure that your data is not being opened, your data is not being copied, your data is not being cracked nor hacked, anything. You cannot rely on all of the open proxies. You have to make sure that that open proxy server that is providing to you their service free of cost, they are trustworthy, their location is fine, their reviews are fine, their all of these, their the company based, if the company is based in Africa, let's this Africa based company, and they are showing their location in Singapore. So this is a kind of scenario you do not want to get in, because you can see that the server is based physically on in the Africa, and their server their location is in the map is basically Singapore or Malaysia, or let's say Europe. So it means that there is something fishy, and you have to get off that track very much quickly. So these are the more important points regarding open proxies. Now let's talk about the reverse proxies. So reverse proxies are used mostly by the servers, web servers, and they basically have MOUs with different kind of proxy servers. They basically have different clients. There are many good clients. There are many good proxy server providers. They are providing their service, but not all of them are free. Most of them charge for their service, and they normally charge not from the client. It basically charges their fee from the server, that is the receiving end, that is a giant entity, let's say Facebook. So they are not taking any money from us, but they are taking a lot of money from the Facebook, because there are many other uses of this proxy. I will tell you that what are the main benefits that this web server achieves when they use this proxy. I will tell you that also in the coming slides as well. So stick to the class. So let's talk about the architecture of this proxy server, how this proxy server is basically constructed, and what are the main or key fundamentals on which this proxy service is built upon. So the first one is the proxy server interface. The second one is proxy server listener. The third one is connection manager. The fourth one is cache manager, and the second last is basically log manager, and the last one is configuration. I will discuss each of it one by one. So first of all, you have to basically interface your data. You want to have an interface from your side towards this proxy server side. So there will be an interface that will basically make a connection, or may establish a connection or a link from your side towards the server end. That is a proxy server, and after that you want that proxy server to listen your data. It is not just to have your data, it is also there are two things: one is listening and another is hearing. So you also do not want your data to be reached at that point and stay there. You do not want that. You want your data to be listened to. So you have to have a listener over there, so someone there who will take your request and not just place it inside a box. It will take some action against it. Then there is a connection manager who will make sure that, okay, I have received this packet, I have transmitted at that end, or I have to transmit it at any specific end or a specific interface. I have to direct it at that interface. So the connection manager is there to make sure that all things go smoothly. The next thing is very important, that is cache manager. It will need a lot of discussion. So cache manager is something you know about the cache, that is a temporary memory. But what is the purpose of having a temporary memory in that architecture of this proxy servers? So you see, mostly in a region, mostly people are trying to search a specific content or a specific file or a specific data. For example, let's say you want to hear a song, and this song belongs to your culture. So not just you want to hear that song. Maybe it is possible, it is highly likely that around you there are thousands of people who want to hear the same song. So it is not feasible for the your ISP or your this giant network, that is, let's say, on YouTube. It is not possible for them to send 1000 same packets again and again, 1000 times same packet 1000 times. So it will not be feasible for them. Similarly, it will not be feasible for your ISP, because the load has been increased drastically. Because let's say there is a new episode of a drama, or there is a new episode of, let's say, any Turkish web series which is nowadays very much hit, and you don't, and this ISP has a lot of load, a lot of data to be processed. And if this ISP, let's say this PTCL or any other service provider, this is processing the same data again and again. Let's say there are 50 million views. So just think that if there is no proxy servers involved and no cache memory involved, how this 50 million, it means that you have to take the data from YouTube towards Pakistan 50,000 times or 50 million times. So it is a huge mess, huge overload. So you cannot afford that. So to make sure that this is all feasible, and the data is not being transmitted on a larger area again and again, you have to make sure that there is some kind of storing devices that are inside that proxy servers. So I've told you that these proxy servers are in the middle of the transmitter and the receiver. So this server will know that, okay, I am receiving a lot of requests for a specific content, for a specific episode, for a specific song. Okay, I will store that song. So I will not be it will not be required to take that request and processes again and again to the YouTube, and then take the data from YouTube and give it back to the requester. So he will store that information, that data, once and for all with itself, and it will hold that data temporarily, and it will transmit. If this proxy server takes the request, if he gets the request from the user end side, let's say from Pakistan, so he will not be doing the same stuff on this side again. He will have the copy, he will give the same copy to everyone. So this is a very much unique concept. It's a good concept of having a good cache memory, a large cache memory. So this managing, I will also discuss that how this managing is occur. I'm telling you about the caching process. There are a lot of steps which we will be discussing in the class, inshallah. That how these caches are managed, and how this memory is being replaced, how these memories are being inserted. So just to have you an idea, there are several policies that are involved, and these policies are basically adopted by the service provider. It is not basically someone who have to tell. So let's say you have a company, you own a company, and you are having a proxy server. So it will be totally up to you that, okay, how much space in your cache do you want. So you will say that, okay, I will be good with 100 GBs or 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte is not that in terms of if you are handling a lot of users. So 1 terabyte is nothing. Let's say you are having 1 terabyte of cache. So if you have 1 terabyte, now how will you know that, okay, I have to store this data and do not have to store this data? There should be some policy. There must be some policy. So depending upon, there are several policies depending upon the clients, their request. So there is a thumb of rule that you can store any request if this request is basically generated. Let's say you put a threshold. You say, okay, if you receive a request of any content more than 1000 times, you store it. So you have basically put a threshold on this server, so you will not be confused. If this server will receive a request of a specific content at least 1000 times, it will then store that data from the YouTube or from any other server, main server. It will store that data with itself, and in the next 1001 time, if somebody asks the same information, it will not do the same process from the YouTube. It will just give the data to that person. So this is known as the insertion policy, that how you basically insert your data inside a memory. Now if let's say your 1000 there was 1 terabyte of memory and of cache memory, and now it has been full, there is no more space left. So how will you basically replace that memory? So you cannot handle more than 1 terabyte. Let's say you are a limited company which are limited resources, so you cannot purchase again and again 1 terabyte of memory, because it will increase your cost, it will increase your budget, it will take a lot of time to manage all of the data. So now there comes another policy that is known as a replacement policy. So there are several replacement policy that, okay, I have 1 terabyte of memory, so which data I have to remove it. First I have to delete it, then I have to put some other data, make some space, then put some other data. So how will this thing, this replacement is been accomplished? So the first thing, the first policy that is very much used is basically known as least recently used, that is LRU. It means that, okay, you have 1 terabyte of data, look for the data which was very much which was used less as compared to all of these others. So how will this thing occur? So he will be having, this server will be having a this log manager. This log manager will be telling you that, okay, this data was accessed this much time, your this data was accessed this much time, and your this data was let's say accessed a week ago. So nobody cares about this songs anymore, so you have to delete this song. So you will basically delete that specific file or specific song or specific any item from your data, from your memory, and then you will be having a space for another data to come. So this is known as replacement policy, and all of this will be basically managed by the cache manager, and this managing will be basically jotted down on any log file or the register. In common way you basically call it a register, but in computer language you call it log files. So you will be monitoring that log files. If you want to see that, okay, I want to see the logs of a file, that how much times it is accessed, how many times it has been opened, how many times it has been requested, okay, how many times people have downloaded this file, how many times there are several logs, which time it was asked, and there are many more things that you can basically have on the logbook. So this is done by the log manager. And in the last there is configuration. You have to make sure that all of these modules are basically configured and they are compatible to each other. It doesn't mean that you have stored a cache, you have placed a log manager, you have placed a connection manager, you have placed all of the managers, but you are not able to configure it. It means that you are not able to connect these. So you see, you have to put these components, and then you have to connect it and make a giant entity that is basically known as proxy server. So a proxy server is a complete package. Within this complete package, this is basically there are several modules, and these are the several modules that how these several departments are basically working together so that they will provide you the best of the service. And this is how the architecture is basically actually works. So how does it actually work? So this is a diagram. This is, let's suppose, your system that you are using at your home, and this is your ISP. So if you want to access a web server, you cannot access the web server directly, even though you can, but you do not want to use that, because this web server is basically the one. Let's say this is YouTube, and YouTube is not willing to provide you data directly because of the security issue. YouTube do not want to be basically the one who get hacked. So he will basically sign a contract with a proxy server, with a famous proxy servers, with a famous manufacturers, or you can say developers of proxy servers, and that proxy servers will make sure that their data is being concealed and hide their information of their signing in and any of the things, so that their data, your data is not that much of importance to them, but their data is very much important. So they feel that they are at risk, not you are, they are at risk. So to reduce their risk, they do not create a direct link with the client. They use the proxy service. Okay, we will give you some profit in terms of security, in terms of cash, in terms of anything, in terms of credit, but you will make sure that our data is not being concealed, or data is basically hidden or encapsulated. So these proxy servers are there to make sure that all of this actually works in the same way that it is going to be happen. And now this is your, you can see that all of these proxy servers are this is one proxy server, and there are these three systems that are trying to access the server, and this is the same server. And let's say for a minute, let's say that all of these are trying to have the same data. All of these are trying to search, let's say, my lecture on the YouTube, which is very famous. So let's say all of these are trying to watch my lecture. So this thing will be in, the cache comes into play, and this proxy servers, I will configure this proxy servers. Let's say I am the owner of I'm the chief of this secure network, and I want to, and I can do whatever I want in this kind of network. Let's say I'm the administrator of this server. So I will make sure that if a request is being generated 2 times, store that data. So the first 2 computers when search about my lecture, so this server will know that, okay, now I have to store that data because the limit is being achieved. So this server will store the data from the proxy server will store the data from the web server, and let's say the third user wants to connect to the or gain the access towards my lecture. So the third time it will not be doing the same thing. This will not be happening. So the third time it will ask the proxy service that please provide me my lecture. So the server will provide you my lecture. So this was all about the first part of the lecture. I hope that you have understood quite a lot. I'll see you in the second part. Keep watching the video. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.